Thank you very much for joining us here on TV Bakwetu. My name is Elias Muisha, and so as you spread the word around, we are going to play a little bit of this song. Okay? Thank you. So we want you to spread the word around and ask as many people as possible to join in our discussion today. General Chipakupaku is here, and so am I. So we're going to do that. But listen to this song.
United we stand, divided before. Ufia vyongo fia now we say no. Wakana za kule ipatulana. We are one pali Bonse Twaba pamo. We are ndanji niwe wana ye. Na solution niwe wana ye. Noma na kubelwa niwa niwa kashinja. Isashikika kane elo wozi tuwa.
So please go ahead and share the link with everyone. Invite as many people as possible. All right. Okay, so I think we can get started. Elias Muisha here and General Chipaku Paku from Scotland. Welcome, General.
Good evening, Muisha. Good evening to Impala, and I think today I'll say good evening, Bolongo, because there's something interesting from Bolongo. And good evening, Chipata. Good evening, Zambia, and good evening to all our viewers. And greetings from Scotland, beautiful Scotland today.
Right. Okay. Thank you. It's also beautiful here in Calgary, Alberta. Now, I'm just wondering whether we have issues with our volume here, so I've raised it up a little bit. It's getting warmer and warmer by the day here in Calgary. Is it the same in Scotland?
Yes, it's actually getting very, very warm. But I saw the temperatures in the US. I think you guys in America and Canada, you have temperatures really, really going up in the next few days. And knowing what it is to have sunshine in these parts of the world, everybody will be smiling. Everybody will be going to the beaches. Don't be careful. We hope you won't get the COVID coming back. So, but yeah, enjoy the sunshine when it lasts.
Right, thank you. Now, the song that we were just playing, General, is done by an artist known as Deborah. She's from Kitwe, and she's notorious for two very vulgar songs. And then suddenly today, she has released this new song about us coming together as one country. What do you think about? Have you played it first of all?
Well, I was listening to it just as we were preparing to come on live. It's a good piece. I don't know this young lady, but I love my Zambian music, and
Right.
I'm sorry that one of my favorite ones in Zambia. I know they're all my favorite ones, but Wezi, young lady Wezi is my best artist in Zambia, in my view. So that song sounds good. Sounds really, really good. I love the message. Let's unite. Let's get back to one Zambia, one nation. We're all one people.
I do agree with you on Wezi. I think she's done very, very good music, very genuine. And so I agree with you. On Deborah, I think she's a budding artist, very new artist, and so she's trying to find her way through through the noisy field of musicians. And so this song about coming together as one country, I think it's a very, very good song. Hopefully we can enjoy it. Now, General, we do have several things to deal with today, and one of them is what is happening in Lungu. In real time right now, something has happened. Please shed more light on it. What's going on?
Bolongo, the Minister of Laughing Affairs, Mr. Freedom is in trouble in Bolongo, big trouble. And I just pray that the problem which he has created in Bolongo will not lead to more violence. He has provoked people to a point that I'm told one of his Land Cruisers has been burnt, including all the musical equipment and everything. And I just pray that the people of Bolongo will calm down, don't take the provocation from the minister, because I'm told he brought in some people from everywhere. He's former minister. He brought people from outside in Bolongo to try and intimidate people at a funeral. You don't do that.
Right.
And I just hope that the Bolongo people will be calm down. We don't want more violence. We don't want any more trouble. The vehicle which has been burnt, whatever happened, I don't know. And that's a vehicle, but we just hope there are no lives which have been lost. But I can tell you that in Bolongo, I think the former Minister of Laughing Affairs has lost it. And he's completely lost it.
Why do you call him Minister of Laughing Affairs? I'll choke here, General. Why do you call him that?
Because I really don't know what role Sikazwe, besides, I don't know what his role is at State House. I think there are two roles he plays. He's either the Minister of Sangomas or Minister of Laughing Affairs. Because I even hear in Bolongo where he is, he's got a bunch of Sangomas and they telling people that I'm going to win this seat whether you like it or not. So I don't know what is his role. What is his role at I always see him laughing. I think that's his role. He's Minister of Laughing Affairs.
Yeah, General. We do have the Mwentula Association of Zambia, for your own information. And Freedom Sikazwe is the chairman of the Mwentula Association. These are a group of people who laugh for no reason. And so he's the chairman. And I'm the Secretary General of that association. So we laugh, we smile for no reason at all. So we won't take it too kindly if you continue calling our chairman as the Minister of Laughing.
Well, if it's registered association, I'll really, really respect it. But as long as this man is paid taxpayers' money and is driving a car bought by taxpayers' money, I think we should be told what his role is. I don't know the role of Freedom Sikazwe. It's Freedom House. Those who know his job, can you please try and help me? I don't understand it. Because everywhere he goes, I've never heard him read a speech. I've never heard him say anything. The only thing he does well is smile and dance. That's all.
That's all. So Minister of Laughing and Dancing. Now, so then obviously there are all these reports of sporadic violence. And so today it's in Bolongo, yesterday it was in Mandevo. What do you think is the solution to all this confusion? How do we arrest the issue of violence?
I think the solution is with the police. And I'm glad to report that HH and the team met the Inspector General this afternoon.
Right.
And told the Inspector General to say, you are supposed to be, you and the Police Inspector General and the police and ECZ. Those are the two referees we should be having this time around as our referees. And as long as the police and as long as ECZ are not playing their role as referees, we will end up having trouble. What happened yesterday is very, very regrettable. Because this guy came with stones, wanted to stone HH and these people. They were stopped by the police. Instead of listening to the police, they started attacking the police. And this is what ZMBC will not tell you.
Right.
They started attacking the police with stones. The whole cruiser was full of stones and other weapons, including pangas. Now, HH and the team, the alliance members, were very open to the police today. That you play a role and there'll be no violence. And also sent a very clear message to the police. whether they like it or not, change is coming to Zambia. So the police must prepare themselves for that.
Right. That's understandable. And so we need the police to have a very firm hand. But I also expect that the leader of our country is going to come out openly, not just talk about stopping violence, but is actually going to model and do something tangible. And what we are seeing is that there is very little of that happening. The president is not doing anything about this violence, particularly from the Patriotic Front cadres.
Violence works in favor of PF. What other choice have they got? They are door-to-door campaigns. They're being told, no, I'm sorry, thank you so much, it's time to go. Right. They go everywhere. They are just being told off by the people. In Copperbelt, Lusaka, Mpulungu, everywhere. Even in Chipata, where the president was a few days ago.
Right.
And can I tell you one thing? He even refused to answer questions at Breeze FM because he was just reading his statement. He didn't want to answer questions from anybody. Mr. Lungu knows that time is gone. PF is gone. The only survival, the only thing which can keep them surviving is violence. Right. So you will not hear anything from Mr. Lungu. Nothing. He will not say anything because violence favors him.
Right. Now, there is this thing that gets quite confusing about the Patriotic Front. You see, they reject people. So they say that they rejected Innocent Kalimanshi. They said Commander Innocent Kalimanshi is not a member of the Patriotic Front. Now, this is not something that we are just making up here, General. Are we making this thing up?
No, we are not. It was public. We can actually produce that evidence. Right. That Kalimanshi was being told off in public that he was not a member of PF.
Right. And then suddenly, we now understand that he's actually a commander. And he's meeting top Patriotic Front leaders today.
Yes, he is. In fact, to start with, I don't understand where this term commander comes from, because commanders should only be in the police force or in the army. Okay? Right. And where is PF getting these commanders from? And first of all, viewers, Kalimanshi is driving another new vehicle.
Right.
Where is he getting this money from? Kalimanshi is meeting senior PF leaders.
Right.
Kalimanshi was receiving Edith Nawakwi the other day.
And you say that there was a dance going on. Miss Nawakwi was actually dancing for Innocent Kalimanshi.
Yes, she was. She had a chitenge on, a PF chitenge on, and she was dancing.
Right.
And so which means Kalimanshi, I don't call him a commander because to me the term commander is very, very important. Kalimanshi is just a thug. So he is Edith Nawakwi, a president of FDD who was supposed to be running mate of Lungu, dancing in front of Kalimanshi.
Right.
And this is the boy who has got money now. He can drive a new Ford Ranger, which a civil servant like a PS can't afford. But Kalimanshi is able to afford it. Where is this money coming from? And where is it getting powerful?
I know that I don't put a lot of weight to what Mr. Chiluve Tayali says, but these are the questions that landed him in trouble. He was asking, who funds Innocent Kalimanshi?
It's pretty obvious now.
Right.
Who funds Kalimanshi? It's pretty obvious who funds all this violence. It's pretty obvious.
Right. And so when Tayali said whoever funds, he got into trouble and they locked him a few days, which is very unfair. But these things do not just happen. A thug cannot just have an operational center, which everybody knows in Chawama, firstly. Secondly, he can't commandeer several thugs, a gun. And fourthly, there is no way he can be having access to funds and motor vehicles. When Patriotic Front candidates themselves, they are complaining today that they don't have money. Where is the money coming from that is funding all the operations of these thugs? That is the question.
That's the biggest question. And yesterday and this morning, when HH was having his roadshow, people were organizing. The same thugs at Kamgoti were trying to organize to attack the HH's convoy. We got the information again.
Right.
Now, what is wrong with the police going to Kamgoti and shutting it down? What is so special about Kamgoti? Because that's where our people are being tortured. That's where all this thuggery is taking place. That's where all these people are tortured. And at the same time, this is where all the criminal case, all the violence is being planted.
Right.
But the police don't have the guts. Inspector General cannot go and shut Kamgoti down because he knows, because PF knows, and the president knows that the only way out on the 12th of August is violence. Why? They want to scare the people from going to vote. They want to make sure that they intimidate the voters during the voting, and they want to make sure that they scare everybody. And like what they did in 2016, probably they're even planning to raid the polling stations again. But this time I'm saying they have to watch what they're doing because I think we're ready for them. Right.
This idea of raiding the polling stations is the real fear here, I think. I think that's a real possibility and a real fear. How will the people of Zambia defend themselves? How will the people of Zambia react? How should the police react? This is the challenge that should be given to Inspector General of Police to ensure, because we still must have a lot of trust in the police. I know that, as the top brass is completely gone. But I think we still must reserve some trust to tell them that they need to do something about it. They need to come out very clearly and stop these thugs from further violence.
In 2016, Munsha, a number of polling stations in Lusaka were ransacked by PF. And people like Meditator tried to stop them. He ended up going to jail for 1 year for nothing, just because he tried to stop the PF.
Right.
So this message should go to the SG, not the SG, the IG, the Inspector General of the Police.
Yeah.
If he's going to allow the PF cadres to intimidate voters this time, I think the Zambian people, you have got the right to defend your democracy. You've got the right to defend your vote. And you've got your right to defend your democracy. And that's why we're saying to our voters, when you vote, don't leave the polling station. Remain at the polling station, only 100 meters away from the polling station. Let Kalimanshi and this gang come, and the best thing you can do, defend yourselves and defend your votes. Because if the police are not ready to do that, then the citizens have got the right to defend themselves and defend their democracy.
All right. I think there is still 2 months to go to the election, and we are very hopeful that this will be a violence-free election. How is civil society reacting? Do we think that civil society is doing enough?
Well, civil society has tried, but there's civil society for Lungu and real civil society here, because everything in Zambia is split into two now. We've got judges for Lungu and real judges for the country. We've got Christians for Lungu. We've got real Christians, and then you've got everything is split. Right. So the civil society, including the diplomats, Munsha, and our viewers, only 2 days ago, the American charge d'affaires, the ambassador, acting ambassador of the US in Lusaka, came out very clear. We don't want violence because democracy and violence don't mix. And, and the British have said the same thing. Why are they saying this? Because they're the same people who are funding our ECZ.
Right. Yeah.
So civil society, I think they better come up and speak up. The church should come up and speak up. so that we should not have the level of violence we had in 2016.
Right.
Or the level of violence we saw yesterday in Mandevu. That should be stopped.
And this idea that this is a no-go area, no-go area for this person, no-go area for this person, I think that language promotes more violence. Because you say no-go area. No-go area, why should an area be a no-go area for a Zambian like Mr. Haga in the Hichilema? That does not really make sense at all.
Well, that's the language of PF. Do you remember what this young man in Mpika said? That Mpika and the northern province is a no-go area for HH, and they don't want cockroaches and rats in that area.
Right. Yeah.
And that same boy is a member of parliament candidate for MP, for a PF. So basically, Mr. Lungu is rewarding somebody who's using such terrible language and is making him a parliamentary candidate.
Right. Very, very dangerous and inflammatory language. We appeal to our people. We appeal to the Patriotic Front. We appeal to everyone not to engage in violence. This election is going to take place. May it take place in a non-violent atmosphere. Zambia is not at war. So let us just work together. And that's why the song from Deborah, who knew that we would be discussing a song from Deborah? The song from Deborah is that we are just one people. Let us tuikatane, tuombe chapamo, pantu, Bonse Twaba pamo. That's what she's saying, tulipamo, something like that. We're going to play it at the end. But that is what she's singing in her song. I think it's a very good song. It comes at a time when we've got, of course, two camps of songs. There is the songs for Lungu, and then there is the song for the opposition. But at least she comes in the middle and says that even if we have all these songs, we are actually one country and one people. And that is what we need to promote. We need to move on to the next topic. I think for violence, we've really exhausted it, General. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we've exhausted it, and the UPND is continuing with its road shows. I just hope there will be no violence in Lusaka, and hope there will be no violence when HH decides to go to the north, which is said to be a bedroom for other people, because he's going there. He's going there very soon. He's going to the north. And, and also pray that there should be no more violence in Mpulungu, please. The Minister of Laughing Affairs, be serious. Do not bring violence in Mpulungu.
As the Minister of Laughing Affairs, Lekeni Ukuseka. You know, the thing is, the way Bemba is, General, when you say Ukuseka, it's different from Ukuseka Seka. So which one are you talking about? Is it Minister of Ukuseka or Minister of Ukuseka Seka?
Minister of Ukuseka Seka, because he just laughs at anything, including a fly. He laughs at flies, he laughs at everything.
Yeah, but so we are appealing to the Minister of Ukuseka Seka to be very clear. Stop violence. Stop importing thugs from other places into Mpulungu. The people of Mpulungu are very, very peaceful people, and we are appealing to all of our people in Mpulungu, every Zambian in Mpulungu, stay away from violence. Patriotic Front members, this country belongs to all people, everybody. It belongs to everybody. Do not think that because you belong to the ruling party, therefore you have the license to cause mayhem and confusion. No. It's terrible. Yep. General, there was a ruling yesterday in court. Now, I need to be very clear. I have not spoken about the ruling yesterday, General, because there is no benefit in me trying to kick my friends who are down. Okay? I did predict. It was a very humble prediction. And I did offer my own advice to say we are not going to get anywhere with this petition. But I don't want to talk about it any further because It's not good for me. Who does it benefit, right? For me to continue talking about this, and then the Patriotic Front are going to use it as propaganda in their blogs and everything else, because they don't like me. But when I say something, and then they use what I'm saying as propaganda. So I'm not going to say anything really about yesterday's decision. General, it's up to you. If you have something to say, it's okay.
Musha, what I will say is that we were not surprised. You cannot be an appointing authority of 5 judges, including your auntie and your 2 friends, and expect a judgment which is the other way around. It doesn't work like that. Secondly, we know very well, we all knew what the decision was going to be, except that we knew there was going to be 1 or 2 judges who are straight. And I think this is the time for me to say thank you so much to Professor, what's her name again?
Munalula, Margaret Munalula.
Professor Margaret Munalula, for standing up for what she believes in, because that's what judges are supposed to do, to stand by what they believe in. And I think it's the time for me to say thank you so much to my friends, Professor Melvin Mbao in South Africa, to my good friend Chaloka Bayan Professor in London, and another professor in South Africa as well. I normally forget his name, for standing up with Zambians and providing guidance. And also, this is a good chance to say thank you so much to John Sangwa, State Council, to our own lady at Foundation One, and my good friend, Dr. Sishua, that Zambia still has principled people who can stand up and say what they believe in without fear or favor.
Right.
And I think I'd say thank you. To the PF, I expected them to celebrate yesterday. They didn't celebrate. Why? Because half of the PF were very disappointed. They wanted Lungu to be banned.
You don't tell me.
Yes, that's the truth. They wanted him gone yesterday. That's why they're not celebrating. That's why they couldn't be celebrating. But we are saying it's good. Now we know where these judges stand. The Zambian people are the last jury and the last Concord and the last Supreme Court on the 12th of August. They will make their decision.
General, if President Lungu tries to play either Mbeba tricks or monkey tricks in the coming election, this constitutional court, and I predict, they'll put him in his place in August. If they try any monkey tricks with this election, this very constitutional court will invalidate it. I'm telling you. I'm very hopeful that this constitutional court will rule against Lungu if Lungu or his friends tried to mess around with our election in August.
Why? Because they know, even the judges know, that the wind of change is coming.
Right.
And
so that's why I want us to remain optimistic and hopeful instead of totally condemn these honorable judges.
No, I'm not condemning. I'm not condemning the judges. I'm not going to say that. What I'm just saying is that we knew what was going to happen, because Lungu threatened them in 2017. Remember what he said? I'm glad that they did what they did yesterday to avoid the chaos from Lungu. That's what he promised our country. He said if they judged against him, there will be chaos in Zambia. So judges, thank you so much for supporting him to avoid chaos in our country, because we don't want chaos from Mr. Lungu. The truth is, the Zambian people are the best judges. That's the Supreme Court of Zambia is sitting on the 12th of August. 7,000 judges are sitting as the presiding panel. They'll provide the verdict to Mr. Lungu, and that I promise.
I think that's the best thing to do. And if they tried monkey tricks, then we are going to rely on the same constitutional court for recourse, I think. And I'm very hopeful about that. But I know that this is going to be a very peaceful election. Let's continue putting pressure on all the levers Right now, we know that there is somebody funding these thugs causing violence. These are not just thugs. These are well-funded thugs. Where else would they get the money to buy new vehicles worth 200 million kwacha? Common sense. Common sense. Common sense. Here, General, we don't even ask for very complicated things like if Mwasam did it as a management specialist. No. We just go to common sense. Where would a thug get the money to buy a 200,000? Is it
200,000 kwacha?
200,000 kwacha vehicle. You see, where would you? Money always has a source. So where would these thugs be having all this money? It means there is somebody funding these thugs. And so today,
can I tell you where the money is from, Musha? The money is from Mukula. The money is from Honeybee.
Right.
The money is from the road construction contracts. The money is from hospital construction contracts. That's the money which is going to Ino.
Right. Right. Indeed. And so we continue putting pressure. The reason why we are putting pressure is because we are hopeful for the promise of our country. We are hopeful, extremely hopeful, that there's going to be the righting of the course from confusion and violence to peaceful elections. And these are going to be peaceful elections in August. Zambians are going to elect their president. And once they elect their president, we are all going to accept the results and move on as one country, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope Mr. Lungu will be ready if he loses. When he loses, I hope he will be ready to hand over.
No, he'll be ready to hand over. What will happen? How else is he going not to be ready?
I hope he will be ready to hand over. And if he doesn't hand over, I think the systems will be there to deal with him.
Oh yeah, no, he'll be. There is nothing like he'll not hand over.
Yes. Musha and our viewers, Mr. Lungu has said he's on record saying whether you vote us in, we will still remain in power. Yes.
When they finally phone you, because there is a lot of respect from the ECZ. They are going to phone him just like they did with Arabi, and it will be a very early. I don't think it will be very late. Once Chingola, here are my constituencies, General. I want to give you the names of constituencies. Okay. Nchanga gets its results very quickly because Nchanga is the most urban constituency in the country. Nchanga. Okay. Apart from Lusaka, Nchanga. Once Nchanga announces, we know where Nchanga is going. We look at the margin. It will tell us how the copper belt is going to fall. Once we get Nchanga, we get Chingola, we get results from a few copper belt provinces, constituencies. It will be very early. By 20 hours or 21 hours, we will know exactly where things are going. Yeah. Right? And then they're going to tell him, sir, because they are very polite people. That's why no matter how we think Judge Chulu is, when they look at the numbers, they are going to give him a very polite phone call and say, sir, we do not have enough numbers. I think Fiapena. And then they'll give him a few hours for him to come into terms with the loss. And then they're going to go ahead and announce.
I hope Judge Chulo won't announce figures from Chitulika constituency.
You believe those conspiracy things?
No,
he just made a mistake on Lundazi. He was announcing number. You can't be announcing 156 constituencies without a slip of a tongue, General.
Well, we are waiting for him. No more Chitulika this time, and no more doubling the numbers of Lundazi constituency.
No, I don't think so. But I think as we draw closer to the election, you and me, General, are going to look at the numbers. We're going to look at the presumptions that we are putting into the numbers, and then come up with our own predictions. I know your prediction is likely going to be different from mine, but we are going to look at this. what I'm thinking is it will not be a very long election. I'm sorry. That's what I'm thinking. I think once we get in Changa, we get to know Chingola, Copperbelt, it's done.
Yeah, game over.
It's game over. There was a video yesterday.
Can I predict something before we go, Musha? Bolongo, I can predict it now. Bolongo will be declared for UPND before midnight on the 12th. Right. Bolongo is the first one to go. It's gone.
Right. I would agree with you. So we'll receive very good indications very early, and so. But I found it quite interesting that you said that there was guarded celebration yesterday from Patriotic Front, because some in the Patriotic Front really wanted Lungu to be disqualified. I never thought of it like that. You are a very wise man, extremely wise man.
It's very true. It's very true. It's very true. I won't even be surprised that Professor Lungu could have been one of them wanted to celebrate because she wanted to be the candidate.
Yeah, Lulu Dabwisha.
Yeah, that's the story. Dabwisha.
All right. Now, General, you served in the army, so I want to give a little bit of background, and then I'm going to let you speak about an event happening tomorrow. In the Zambian system, we have soldiers. Soldiers are people who carry guns, and they are trained to shoot and kill our enemies. So we've had soldiers from the 60s, and I think, General, you joined the army very, very young. You said at 16 you were in Gonda barracks in Chipata. So thank you for the service of men and women who were soldiers. And in those days, it wasn't like you were a soldier and all you are doing is enjoying yourself. There were actual wars, right? South Africa particularly was attacking us. And Rhodesia as well. So it was a very, very difficult time. And of course, we had our own issues with Kenneth Kaunda, who I know is an idol, but anyway, he declared a state of emergency. And so we were in a state of emergency until 1991. And so there was a lot of military activity. Nevertheless, in our system of government, the army is under civilian supervision. Mm-hmm. General, I want us to get this very well, because the army is under civilian oversight and civilian supervision. Meaning, even if they have guns and bombs and tanks and rockets, they are under civilian supervision. Before they go to the armory to retrieve a gun, they've got to be given an order to do so. And that order must go to the chain of command up to the commander-in-chief. However, again, the commander-in-chief in our country is also subject to other checks and balances. For example, if we went to war in Zambia, the commander-in-chief does not declare war alone. He must go to parliament. Parliament is dissolved like it is dissolved now. He has to recall parliament. The very old MPs, like the one you were talking about from Bolongo, the very Minister of Laughing Affairs. So if Zambia were to go to war, they would summon the parliament back and let parliament declare war, and then the commander issues an order to all the soldiers, and then they go to war. General, is that a correct summary?
That's very, very correct.
Okay.
That the commander-in-chief can only declare war when parliament has authorized it.
Right.
And that the Minister of Defense, the topmost people, the minister should be a civilian.
Right.
We have had a soldier before, General Chinkuli and General Masheke. One time they became ministers of defense. But
were they retired when they did that, or they were still serving active soldiers?
They were still serving. They were still serving soldiers.
That's quite unusual. Yeah, that's unusual.
That's very, very unusual. But in the
Right.
normal situation, there must be a civilian minister of defense, a civilian as permanent secretary of defense.
Right.
And that is how the army, because the army is supposed to be answerable to civilians, it's answerable to the people.
Right.
Through the commander-in-chief and through the minister of defense.
Right. Okay. The Zambian army has been extremely professional, General.
Yes. That's why I saved that army, and I know that it has always been professional.
Right. Okay. So then what is happening with this Army Day taking place tomorrow?
What is supposed to happen is that every country has got its army, and you have to celebrate and be grateful for the role the army plays.
Right.
Musha, you know that when we were in the army in the 70s and 80s, we were surrounded by Mozambique, which was under the Portuguese. We are surrounded by Angola, which was under the Portuguese. Zimbabwe was under Rhodesia. Namibia was not independent.
Right.
We had very, very hostile people around us. And the government had to respect the soldiers. By respecting them was to recognize that they have a role to play.
Right.
And the population has to have one day when they think of the service day, the Defense Forces Day.
Right.
In all the countries, they celebrate a day for the armed forces.
Right.
In the UK, you have a day when you celebrate the armed forces, and some people even have the chance to go to the barracks, to the Air Force base, and see how the army works. The reason is they want to encourage you to join the army.
Right.
They want to encourage you to be able to say thank you to your defense forces.
Right.
What the Army Day is not for,
right,
is not to intimidate the citizens.
No.
Okay? If you start using that day, instead of building a relationship with the armed forces, or the army in this case, with the local people, because some of the soldiers, we've got relatives in the compounds. We want to appreciate the service of the army.
Right.
And that's why the idea of an army day comes in.
Right.
They also come and parade. They also show that they respect their citizens, but it's not a day to intimidate the citizens.
Right. From the look of things, the way I'm seeing it, I have several issues with this Defense Forces Day that has been set for tomorrow. Number one, it is being held too close to the election. That's a major concern. 2 months, barely 2 months before the election. The problem is in the perception of the citizens. It creates this impression that the army is politicized. That's my concern, General.
Yeah.
The Zambian army is not politicized.
It's not. It's not.
And holding this day when parliament is dissolved and 2 months before the election, it creates the impression.
You are right, Musha. You are very, very right. To me, it looks like the PF has politicized the police.
Right.
And they're trying to slowly politicize the army and the Air Force.
No.
Which is very dangerous.
Right.
It's a very dangerous thing, especially now that we are right in the middle of a campaign, to then display your own missiles, to display all your soldiers in the streets and say you call it Army Day.
Right.
It's actually, to me, it's an indirect intimidation and a psychological warfare against your own people.
Right. Because indeed the army exists to protect our country primarily from external enemies.
Yes.
However, civilian uprisings in our country, we deal with it through the civilian security forces, such as the police. But the soldiers, primarily, it's external forces. Of course, the motto is internal and external, but we know what that means. It's mainly external forces. Like if Malawi, I always speak on Malawi, General. Abena Malawi. If Abena Malawi, they suddenly grew, and they said they want to come and take over Chipata. It is our soldiers who are going to go there with their tanks and missiles to protect Chipata from Malawans. Or Abena Zimbabwe, or Bululushesu, Bagasai. If they decide to say no, they are going to come and do anything, that is the role of our defense forces, and for that we really appreciate. But it does not look like that's what is happening tomorrow, because our neighbors are not a threat.
Musha, I've said this many times. Kamuzu Banda in 1972, 73 wanted to declare Eastern Province as part of Malawi. And Kenneth Kaunda, my commander-in-chief, just told him, try. And we just told them to say, try, because we knew that we were going to sort them out. There's no way he was going to take over Eastern Province. He wanted the boundary to be Luangwa. We said, no, it was not going to happen. So,
right.
So if there's any country around us which can't attack us, is Malawi.
Right.
Because they tried and they were told. They were put in there. Kamuzu Banda was put in his place. Okay?
Right.
So the armed forces, the army is there to defend the people of Zambia.
Right.
But what I don't agree with is that the army being used as a tool to try and intimidate people. Because we're right in the middle of an election.
Right.
Campaign.
Yeah. So
what I saw, those missiles being displayed, what are they meant for? To intimidate our people? So that our people don't go for their road shows, they don't go for their rallies? Is Mr. Lungu trying to deliberately send a signal to say, I've got the army, I can sort you out? Is that what he's trying to say?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Again, we are not voting.
The army does not belong to PF. It belongs to the Zambian people.
No. The army belongs to the people of Zambia. And it's a creation of our constitution. And we believe that the army is going to remain neutral in political bickerings. Politicians always bicker, politicians quarrel, politicians try to give the impression that one is better than the other. That is the political process. The Zambia army is going to let the political process play out. And once the people of Zambia have elected a commander-in-chief, the army is going to salute that commander-in-chief. But what we are concerned with is this commander-in-chief at the moment, the politician known as Edgar Chagwa Lungu, the way he is using the army, particularly on Army Day tomorrow, it's unacceptable because it undermines the independence of the army from politics.
Yeah, and it's very unfortunate. It's really, really, really unfortunate that knowing that our army, they're professional, they will not accept to be used against their people, and the PF might try.
Right.
One of the photographs which always lingers in my head, Munsha, is a photograph which was taken a few years ago of a staff sergeant in the army from the military police, and a cadre showing his finger at this staff sergeant in the army. And what came into my mind, I said, look, those days when I was in the army, this guy would never show me a finger like that. Never.
No. Really?
Never,
okay.
Never. In fact, that cadre, I will show you the photograph one day, Musha. That cadre is very, very lucky. He should go and pray to his God that he should show a finger to a staff sergeant in the army and get away with it. He was very, very lucky. He would have regretted that day for the rest of his life.
No, I wouldn't advocate for the army going into the compounds and assaulting stupid cadres. I don't think that's appropriate, General. I wouldn't agree with that.
No, what I'm saying is that, Musha, if the police has failed to go to Kamgodi, would you prefer that our people die because of Kamgodi? No. For me, I would prefer that the army moves in and sort them out.
No. Again, we are back to this. I do believe that the Zambia police has the capability to deal with capability. The Zambia police can neutralize all these thugs. The issue is, do we have a commander-in-chief who is willing to deal with these thugs? This is not the issue of Zambia police not having no ability to deal with thugs. This is everything to do with their commander, who is unwilling to confront these thugs.
But Musha, Chapa Wangunguma dealt with these thugs in Sesheke.
Yes.
What happened?
The commander-in-chief removed him.
Exactly.
That's why I'm telling you.
How do you expect Kanganja or this Deputy Inspector General to deal with Ino and these thugs?
That's why I'm telling you that it is the president who we should direct all this ammo at and tell and say, dear Mr. President, we as the people of Zambia, the only ammunition we have is the ammunition of our voices. Please, please, please take control of the situation. You are the commander-in-chief, for goodness sake. Empower the police with your words and your actions to go and deal with these thugs. That is what we need.
Well, 60-something days to go. We've had this commander-in-chief for 7 years. He has failed to defend these people.
Right.
Lawrence Banda was shot at in Kauma. Nothing has happened.
Yeah.
Our people were gassed. 53 people died. Nobody was arrested.
Right.
So if you are expecting this commander-in-chief to act now, I think you're expecting Angel Gabriel to come back to earth.
If you don't expect the commander-in-chief to act, then what you are suggesting is illegal.
No.
Because if the commander-in-chief does not act, then what are you saying? The army, the Zambia army, the Zambian security forces cannot act without an order from the commander. That's just the way it is.
I'm not saying the army should move in. What I'm saying is that if the police has failed and the commander-in-chief has failed to order his police to defend the people,
then the commander-in-chief should order the army.
The only option we have is for the... What happened in Malawi when the police started misbehaving?
No. Okay.
What happened?
This is getting complicated.
No. What happened in Malawi? That's a very clear case. The police started misbehaving in Malawi, and the people saw that there were going to be danger because the police has failed to act. I'm not saying we've reached that point of Malawi. I'm just saying there is a danger that we might reach that point of Malawi, where the police is useless, overrun by the cadres. And in a situation like that, do you prefer that our people die, or do we prefer that the army moves in and puts everybody in their place? That's a serious dilemma we have. And if the police don't act in the next 60 days, with what we saw yesterday in Mandevu, we will have our people dying. If the police don't act what we saw in Mpulungu tonight, where the smiling minister brought in gangs and gangs of people in Bolongo, our people are going to die.
No, General, I think our only difference is the fact that I believe that if President Lungu has the will to act, he can act and stop the violence. In other words, the issue we have is the leadership of President Lungu. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the will.
But that's why I'm saying that there is no resolution to this issue that excludes the current president.
But he has no will. There's no political will. the commander-in-chief is sleeping on duty. That's all. He has no will. He doesn't want to act. Because it only takes one word from the commander-in-chief. One word. There will be no violence. I want all the pangas out. I want every card who has got a gun to be made sure that they don't have carry guns. Right. It can happen. One word from the commander-in-chief. The question is, where is this commander-in-chief? We have not heard him say anything. We have never heard him condemn violence. The only thing he does is post a word, we want peace. God give us peace. No, Mr. President, peace can only come when you guarantee it.
Right.
As commander-in-chief.
Right. I agree.
That's all.
I agree. That on that one, I agree that it's the commander-in-chief to do something about this violence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we are appealing to President Lungu to do something about this violence. So who came up with this suggestion of holding this Army Day tomorrow? Do you think it was soldiers? Is it the Army Command? Is it State House? Who came up with this?
I think it's a standard thing all over the world. The question is but it
is held on December 28th, General. Zambia's Defense Forces Day is in December. December 28th.
If it's supposed to be in December 28th, then somebody must have made that political decision for it to be on tomorrow. And that's what I'm saying. You cannot use the army to try and intimidate or play psychological games in the minds of voters. You can't do that.
Right.
So if that date, I'm not sure about that. What I'm saying is that each country has got a date which is different. I know that in the UK, the Defense Forces Day or the Army Day, people go to the army and actually meet the soldiers, and we celebrate with them. There's a parade everywhere. So if our day of the Army Day is in December, the question is, why is it coming back to June?
When Parliament is dissolved?
When Parliament is dissolved 2 months before.
When Zambia is not at war?
Yeah. And then you display all your missiles. What for? Who are you trying to intimidate?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I think we are going to open ourselves up, because the only threat that we have is perhaps South Africa. So they will spy on our weapons, they will spy on our equipment. They'll definitely know what sort of equipment we have.
The South African has got their high commission in Zambia. What is their job? That's their job, is to spy on you officially. Right. So you can't run away from that. That's why we've got these diplomatic embassies, and the embassies in our countries. Their first role is to make sure they know what you're doing.
Right.
So for me, really, there's no need for us to be displaying all these arms, trying to intimidate people, inconvenience people. And to me, somebody's trying to send a signal to the voters. Right. And I can say to the Zambian voters, do not allow anybody to intimidate you, because your vote, your decision is your decision. Right. And nobody can use the army against your will. It's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. I just hope that through this little way we have contributed in steering this conversation, because I know that there are several people who cannot handle this hot topic. Right? Yeah.
We can.
And so we can. We have faith in our country. We have faith in our institutions, but we have no faith in Mr. Lungu. Mr. Lungu has been undermining Zambian structures for a very long time. And it is sad that the latest casualty now is going to be the Zambia Defense Forces. This is unacceptable. And there are doubts at State House who could have told him to say it's insensitive to hold a Defense Forces Day 2 months before elections. And there are people who can tell him to say, no, sir, we can't do this. We hold a parade along Independence Avenue 2 months before elections. That definitely, it undermines the independence, political independence of our soldiers. It undermines, at least in our minds, it creates that perception. But anyway, we'll continue praying for our soldiers. They'll remain neutral, politically neutral, and they'll remain a strong force against any enemy that might try to come into our country. Secondly, this perception that somehow opposition members are enemies of the state is nonsense. Opposition members in our system of government, we have the ruling party, we have opposition. The office of president is an office that people aspire to. Why mean? We have several candidates. Are they 13? We have Dr. Nevas Mumba. We have Mr. Andy Banda. We have Ms. Chala Kateka. We have Mr. Haga Inde Hichilema. We have Mr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. We have Mr. Harry Kalaba. We have Mr. Chanda. We have all these. These are candidates for the office of president. That is our system of government. Opposition members are not enemies of the state. They are not. They could be enemies of, say, various political parties, and they are rivals among political parties. But they are not enemies of the state. They are part of our country, for goodness sake.
Yeah, yeah. Two issues, Munsha, before we open up. We are getting very, very strange information coming from PF that they've decided to open up their purse. They're going to give bags and bags of meal, more cooking oil, and they're going to give a lot of food in all the constituencies. I'm saying to the Zambians, please, when they come with the 5 kg, ask for 10 kg.
Right.
When they come with 1 liter of cooking oil or 1 kg of sugar, ask for 2 kg. They are going to distribute these things starting from next week. So get them. Get them. When they give you 1 kg of meat, ask for 5 kilos. Okay? If DMOU comes with 2 kgs of beans, ask for 5 kgs of kablanket. That's the first thing. The second thing, my dear friend Munsha and our viewers, there is a question. Is Mr. Lungu going to attend the presidential debate? Because I think we would love to see him attend the presidential debate.
A debate with who?
With all the candidates.
No.
We want Mr. Lungu. Mr. Lungu, you have been running away from these debates for a long time. This is the chance for you to come and tell us about your infrastructure development. We want you live. I think we want you live on ZNBC, on TV Bakwetu, and all these other stations. We want to ask you questions, Mr. Lungu. Please don't dodge, don't run away from this debate. We want Nevas Mumba, we want HH, we want Fred Mumembe, Hari Kalaba, we want everybody, including Mr. Lungu. Don't run away this time.
The way you are explaining it, General, as if I can literally picture him running away.
Yes, he runs away from Munsha. Munsha, when have you ever heard Mr. Lungu being asked by journalists and answering questions? The last time he did that, he set his own questions, he gave them to people to ask them, and then he replied. We want him live on any television to answer questions about the economy, about the debt, the infrastructure development, about all the fisheries and the good things he has done.
Right.
And inflation as well, so that people can hear from him. He should not run away. He should not run away from that debate. We want that debate. For me, I would love to have that debate probably by the 2nd week of July. What do you think, Munsha?
I'm laughing because I know it will not happen. So I don't even want to torture my brain because I know Bolongo bamwenso tabashipai in a debate. He can't do that. So I don't even want to waste my brain from Chuempala. I want to proceed to something else. In general, if you want the 1st week of July, it's okay. Go ahead and speculate.
No. I'm going to throw this challenge to Mr. Lungu and his people. 15th of July, let's have this debate, halfway July, so that people can hear from you, Mr. Lungu, and your fantastic economic recovery program. We want to hear you live. Over to you, Munsha.
Right. Okay. Now, you mentioned that suddenly the PF now are going to spend money
Yes, they're buying food. They're buying food. They're also buying voters' cards. 1,500 kwacha for a voter's card and a voter's register. The question is, where are they taking these cards and registers to? That's the biggest question. Because they've got a budget to buy voters' cards and voter NRCs. And they also got money to buy food, to give people more food. The question is, where are they taking the voters' cards and the NRCs? Where are they going?
Yeah, that's pretty sad. We are appealing to our people: do not sell your identity documents. Zambian law forbids you from selling your IDs, your NRCs, or your voters' cards. Do not do that. Do not do that. If these people want to give you money, find a different way. You know, kuba kerenka. We want to buy your voters card. Give me, they give you money, but do not give them your identity cards. It's an offense in Zambia for anyone to sell their cards or anyone to buy their cards. Since they're now going to release the money, I hope it's true, because so far the Patriotic Front has behaved like the poorest of all parties. No money. And so we kept wondering, General, to say, where is the Mukula money? Where is the honeybee money? Where are all these contracts? It's like now they are ready to spend.
They are ready to spend. They are going to give you food. Get the food. Get the money. Okay. Right. And if they come with one chicken, ask for 4 chickens. Okay. Yeah.
That is what should happen. All right. I think we've got to bring in our friends now so that we can have a discussion for 10 minutes and then we can conclude. There is Brian and there is, the one who is on my team, Mr. Mapanza Nkwilimba. I feel happy when I have Mr. Nkwilimba on my side.
I know. We should give respect to our elders. Mr. Nkwilimba, welcome, sir. Hello, and I can see Brian Mpande there. Brian Mpande and Mr. Nkwilimba so far. Mr. Nkwilimba, good evening and welcome, sir, and greetings from Scotland.
Good evening, General and Munsha. So much.
Good evening, Mr. Nkwilimba. What do you think with what is happening today in Bolongo? What is happening with all the issues we've raised tonight? And what's happening in your area?
Well, I am in Lusaka, so we are aware of what happened in Mandevu and, the area. Actually, I think that is Mandevu constituency as well, on the Zambezi Road, where there was violence yesterday. So the commentary I wanted to make was that, and I like the optimism of Mr. Munsha, that we are going to have free and fair elections. And that is really what we want. But I think it is not a given. It will only happen, we only have free and fair elections if every citizen is ready to do something about it. As far as I'm concerned, the president, I don't think that he would do anything to end violence. He hasn't done it in the past, and I do not see him doing it now. He seems to be benefiting from the violence that is going on.
Exactly.
And unless everybody, including the church and the civil society, even if we most of the civil society is really a surrogate of the PF. But there are still some civil organizations that could play a role in trying to promote dialogue and applying pressure to the president to do something about ending violence. Really, I mean, you can see, so far, he has done nothing about violence. he would talk casually. Well, recently he talked about, why do you fight? Myself, we don't fight. Why do you fight? But that's really done casually, and it's
Right.
like I think the PF cadres, they just ignore him. They just
Exactly.
go on with their program, whatever, with their violence. And for me, really, in as much as I want, as much as I want to believe that we can have free and fair elections and this violence can be stopped, it can only be stopped if every system and every organization deliberately works to bring about the end to this violence.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Nkwilimba. Thank you so much, sir. I totally agree with you. Mr. Lungu and PF, they are the beneficiaries to violence. They want violence. And as you said, I totally agree with you. They want to use violence as a tool to intimidate voters because they don't want voters to go and vote in mass because they know if everybody goes to vote in big numbers, it's against them. So the only thing is to scare them. And Mr. Lungu has failed to act. I still say one thing. Lawrence Banda was murdered in a by-election in Kaoma. Mr. Lungu and PF, including the police, they know who murdered the Lawrence Banda. But he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He will not care because it benefits him. So it's a fact, Mr. Nkwilimba, that you have said the right thing. Mr. Lungu will not take any action against violence because he knows which people are violent, because it benefits him. Let's go to Brian. Brian, can you be brief and tell us your comment as well?
Thank you. How are you, Munsha and General?
We are doing good.
Yes,
we can hear you. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead and be brief, please.
Thank you. Let me just talk of two issues. The first one is the violence in Bolongo, and news just reaching me right now. I was just watching KBN TV. They are reporting that 2 people have died, 2 PF cadres have died. And if you look at the videos that are coming through, you can see that PF cadres were in their Ligarian, in their overalls, those overalls. And there are a lot of them like organized, like they were sent there. And unfortunately, they were not fighting UPND. They were fighting residents of Bolongo. And that's how residents rose up and started defending themselves. That's very bad. Would have appreciated a situation where maybe there were 2 political camps and crashed and a fight ensued. But they were stoning citizens. Citizens were running away from their houses, running into the bush. And unfortunately, they had to defend themselves because they were pushed in the corner. And this is not supposed to be allowed to go on. And the only person who can end this is Mr. Lungu, unfortunately. So if this violence, he really condemns it, let him come in the open and really put a stop to this. This has happened before in this country. Manawasa just said one word. If you are involved in a fight as my cadre and you go to police, you're on your own. But now we see cadres go to police and just a call is made, they are released. We see them in the streets, and that's very unfortunate. So if the president of this country was to put his foot down and not just merely saying, like Mr. Nkwilimba said, say, have you seen me and HH fight? No, you can't say that. That's very casual. You need to be very, very strong on it and hard and, put this thing to an end. If you just, as a head of state, you just hold a press briefing and say, I'm giving a directive to all cadres, be it UPND or PF, and if you're involved in any violence, you are arrested. That's number one. The second and last part that I wanted to mention, I saw a roadshow of PF being led by Kalimanshi in Mandevu, to show, to reiterate what the UPND did. And I observed one very funny thing, that these are people who are looking like security people or commanders or whatever they call them from intercity. And this is the group of people that was uniform throughout the road show. They were walking throughout the same people all the way around, in that tarmac and stuff. But the way they were walking, it even scares away voters. How do you, campaign to attract votes when you are walking in such a manner that you are scary? These are jobbers, with muscles everywhere, and they're walking. They're very scared, such that a person will be like, are we safe in this country now? You understand? So you're not attracting any vote. Be civil, go and vote. Don't scare people. It's not it for that what this one APND do, you also want to do so that you seem to be, you are scaring people. So I wanted to just say, let us make sure that this violence comes to an end, and we are calling upon the president to end it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. And it's really, really sad, viewers, that 2 people have died. These are Zambians. To me, they are Zambians. And the story that the smiling minister brought in cadres to try and intimidate the people in Bolongo because they've said no, they're not going to vote for him. Now 2 people are dead. And I think it's really, really sad because these people have died as Zambians.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Musha think. I don't know what you think.
This is very sad. It's extremely, extremely sad. And may their souls rest in peace. We again ask our people, do not engage in violence. We ask President Lungu again to put a stop to this violence. He shouldn't outsource the solution. He's the president. He needs to put his foot down and stop the violence. What we are seeing with thugs having power over the police, it's never been seen, it's never been heard in a democratic Zambia. It shouldn't be tolerated at all.
In fact, I will end up saying something which I really didn't want to say. The police are now accepting that there is going to be change of government, and they are so scared about these cadres, and it's a fact that they are seeing the problem.
Right.
And so what I'm saying to the police is that if your commander-in-chief cannot give you orders, defend the Zambian people. Be like Shapa, stand your foot down and defend your people. If Mr. Lungu fires you in 2 months, you will be reinstated after the 12th. Because the service you saw Mr. Kanganja to defend our people. So if you can defend our people in Bolongo against your minister, you will have done your job. If you can defend our people in Mandevu against Kalimanshi and this gang, you have defended Zambian people. If Mr. Lungu fires you in the next 2 months, fine. The truth is, PF and Mr. Lungu are going, you will be reinstated. So the police, you know that deep in your hearts that this government is gone. You know it.
Right. And so we've got to end here. Now, before we go, you asked me about stars. So as we are coming live to you, there are several options under there. You're going to see something that says send stars. Click there. Facebook is going to tell you how, okay? It appears like each and every listener has about several stars that Facebook gives you. But in order for you to give more stars, it appears like you must pay for them, all right? That's basically a little science behind stars. And so we're trying to monetize it and see, what happens. Why not? And so please do send us stars because we like stars here at TV Bakwetu. We like them. But General, did you, I think we've got to go now, but I want to play Deborah's song before we go. Is that okay?
That would be fantastic. And please, if we can play that song, and I hope the people in Bolongo will listen to that song.
Right.
Let's stop the violence and let's reunite our country. And I also hope Mr. Lungu can listen to this song as well.
Right.
katupitilishe umutende undu twakwata solantu wonse ala muzambia katikatane aikona kuikaka ulani wa muzambia wa mnesheni Bonse Twaba pamo Bonse Twaba pamo United we stand, divided before. Now we say no.
How do you dance?
We are one party concept. Na solution ni wewe wewe. Kama natubelo nyumbani bakashinja isemtika kane elo wazi tukachinja. katupitilishe umutende undu twakwata solantu wonse ala muzambia katikatane aikona kuikaka ulani wa muzambia wa mnesheni Bonse Twaba pamo Bonse Twaba pamo Bonse Twaba pamo Bonse Twaba pamo
But we are not standing to dance. No.
ichalo chesimkumutende chaishiwe kabanfotule ipaya nokwira sana mapanga wayalayo chamakobo ya walayali ulupato kulichite mwiko bena chalia chakapanga tubiteni pamapalilo mutendo twalilile muchalo cha Zambia ichitomwiko chove nechanji alachitwalilile katupitilishe umutende undu twakwata solantu wonse ala muzambia katikatane aikona kuikaka ulani wa muzambia wa mnesheni Bonse Twaba pamo
All right. Good night, everyone. General.
Good night from Scotland, and keep the peace, Zambia. Keep the peace, and let all remain as one people.
Right. Okay. Thank you. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.